1SOULAR back in the Funk Garage after a dope trip to the Bay Area. Got the dope opportunity to chop it up with legendary producer Drop Scot. We talk about new music, life, creativity, and a whole bunch of other things, man. Special edition of Wednesday Rec right. Is this the Bone Air out
San Rafael.
in San Rafael with the one and only legendary producer Drop Scot for a special edition of Wednesday Rec. How are you doing today, partner?
Man, I'm blessed, bro. Happy to be.
A lot of this music that you produce for us, it's rite of passage. So
right on.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate it, bro.
Yes.
I never would think that, hey, my life would take me to that journey. You know what I mean? I'm just making music to have fun and make some money, hopefully.
Yeah, it makes life so beautiful, man.
Yeah, because we're playing. And, as children, you play. So when you get older, some people lose the ability to play. You know what I mean? So if you're playing music, you keep that childlike energy inside. You know what I mean? So play something. If it's not music, play something. Golf.
It gets crazy, and not many things I can say really tap into that sort of energy. The Santa Cruz artist that you recently collaborated with, Reggie Stevens.
It's called Margarito too, and Circle Food. But also it's mixed with orchestral, they're like a national orchestral jazz group.
Oh, from out in Mexico?
Yeah.
Mexico City?
Yes. Basically, Margarito 2 was a song that they released as Margarito. And it's a song about, a working man constantly getting pulled over by the police. Right. Weird experience here. I can see what you're saying.
How did it all come together with that collective right there?
Okay,
what were the moves?
My great friend Greg Landau, he's been nominated for Grammys several times. He's been working in Mexico City, all through Mexico, all through South America. Big time producer. He does a lot of film. I've known him since I was like 13 years old when I first started playing professionally. Well, I wouldn't say professionally, but I've been making money at music, playing music since I was 13. Really, I would say that my professional career started around 19 when I went on tour with Confunction. But going back to Greg, I've known Greg since 13 years old. We've been good friends, and we worked together on a lot of. You ever heard of Black and Brown record label? It's a Gold Toast, Black and Brown. So
Word.
he had an artist that wanted some Latin style music, so I called my boy Greg Landau, and we started working together again. And then Greg heard I have another group with the legendary Bill Summers, who played with Herbie Hancock and the Headhunters.
Okay.
And we have a group called Forward Back, and that group is like based on Ifa and African religion, and we took a lot of bata rhythms, which are the drums that are played at the ceremonies, right? And so we took that music, we took those drums, and I put like hip hop beats over those rhythms, right? And we call it Forward Back, going back to come forward. So Greg heard us doing that, and he heard Reggie Stevens, because I brought Reggie Stevens into the whole situation. I've known Reggie since he was with the New York Giants. See, he's always rapped even before he was playing football. He was a rapper, and so he's from Louisiana, and Louisiana, Mississippi. That's a major hub for Ifa and what they call Santeria. They call it voodoo, but I don't know what it's called in Mexico and South America, but in Cuba it's called Ifa or Santeria. And so Greg heard that, and like I said, Reggie he grew up in Louisiana, and my thought is, this cat, he's an ex-football player. He's a good rapper, excellent rapper, great writer, and he thinks and he studies, and so out of all the people that I knew that I could ask to be a part of this project, I thought, man, Reggie Stevens, that's the guy. He's gonna take this shit. He's gonna take the shit serious,
That's right.
He's gonna get up in there and read the books and learn about Ifa and understand. And so he did his thing, and as from that, Greg heard that, he came to one of our shows out in Oakland. We did a little showcase, and he expressed an interest in us getting together and doing some son jarocho. Now, son jarocho is a
Let
style
them
of
know.
music
Yeah.
from Veracruz. You know, Veracruz is African and Mexican. It's a thing called
Wow.
Yanga. Yanga. There's a town called Yanga in Mexico, in Veracruz or somewhere around there. My history isn't this. Reggie would probably be a better person for that, but
Word.
um, yeah. So we took the song Jarocho and we did a song with Los Coalites who won an Oscar for the Frida Kahlo movie. Right.
Ooh,
So
okay.
the song was called Madre Tierra.
Madre
Tierra
Tierra.
Madre. That we did the song, then we did a press whole press tour in Mexico City for that song. Well, let me just put it like this: going to Mexico City, bruh, it was open arms, man. It was
Yeah.
nothing like
How was that, bro?
open
Yeah.
arms, bruh.
That's
I'm
right.
talking about the people, everyone. I mean, bro, when they make you a drink, they take their time. You
With
feel
the
me?
love.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Whatever they do, they take their time. They put all their energy, whatever their expertise that they have, they go full on with that. I mean, they don't half step anything, bro.
Mm.
And the way we were received as black men, it hit us in the heart, bro. What was funny to me is we did Black Man in Mexico as a result of coming back and realizing, hey man, this was incredible. We want to write some more songs about our experience down here. And in Mexico, I wasn't to them. I wasn't really a black man. As far as they were concerned, we were all part of them. They all open arms. They said, our home is your." They said, "You're Mexican now, y'all." That's
That's
what they
right.
told us. When I started, it was a strange, not strange, but it was kind of an organic situation. I had just moved from L.A.
Mm.
up to Berkeley, California in 1972.
Ooh, boy.
Okay.
To Berkeley in the 70s. That's right.
And from LA. I had some mixed kids on my block. You know, I became friends with them instantly. You know, my father was a famous African American actor named 1SOULAR. And
Wow.
when I was born, there was still Jim Crow in effect, right? Yeah, yeah. So even though we were in California, come on, bro, Hollywood, they didn't give a fuck. They didn't care about it. You know, even though it was legal, it still wasn't cool. My father had to actually leave Hollywood. He joined the Air Force. I was conceived in Fairfield at Travis Air Force Base.
Word.
And when he came back, he moved to New York and became an actor. And he was in movies like New Jack City. He was in the original Roots. He was Kunta Kinte's father, General Hospital. He was the first African American to ever have a recurring role on a daytime series, bro.
No
And
way.
this was before he got married to my mother. So like once that happened, all that went away. So he, like I said, he came back, changed his name to Thomas Rasulullah, and became very, very famous. You ever saw What's Happening or Good
Yeah,
Times?
I know of it.
Any
Yeah.
of those shows? He was on all of those shows.
So, I mean, how did that affect you in making this like jump, this decision when you're 13 years old
Okay, yeah. So going
to
back to when I moved from from LA, excuse me, from LA to Berkeley, California in '72, it was hippied out, bro. I mean, it was like mad hippie zone, bro.
let's go.
I'm like, what's going on, right? So my brothers and I just started acting up, and so my father, bless his soul, my stepfather, Richard Roberts, man, he picked up the ball. Don't let
Wow.
me start crying again. He
Oh
did
yeah.
his thing because he had three very talented young kids, and he saw that we could sing and dance, do whatever. And so he took us to his a friend who was a steel drummer, and he had a steel drum after school program at Bushrod Park in Oakland, right? So we went over there, started playing steel drums, and the Jeff Norrell, his house, his apartment burnt down. So now the steel drums, understand, you can only play two notes at a time. My stepfather said, "Well, you can move into our basement, Jeff." Jeff moved into our basement, right? So now, after school, I'm going down playing, doing my thing with the steel drum orchestra. Then when I get home, I want to go play with my football with my electric football set and whatever, right? But Jeff Norrell, he's like knocking on my door. Hey man, come on, let's jam, let's jam, let's jam. I'm like, man, hold up, man, I'm playing right now. Jeff got me to go outside and start jamming with him. Now, it just so happened that the famous Johnny Otis, he wrote Hound Dog. We were just jamming steel drums in the backyard. And Johnny Otis Jr. lived like four houses down. And so he heard us playing. He brought over his conga drums and started playing with us. Now, see, this is how cool my father, Richard Roberts, was, bro. Lenny Pickett from Tower of Power, he skipped school and come and play in our garage. My father had set up a little studio in our garage. Let him just come in and play all day long. So Lenny was out there too. So he heard us playing. So he came out and he had a bass saxophone, right? So he started playing the bass lines on the saxophone. It was like a mixture, right? We were playing salsa music on steel drums. We had a bass saxophone player. So then all of a sudden they were like, man, let's go up on the street. I'm like, what? Ah, man, I ain't going on the street playing. What you talking about, bro? I ain't no bum, right? So, no, they taught me this. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. So, I went up there. We played. And I made like $5. I was like, when's the next time?
Let's go. Would you say that there's been major changes between then and now how you make your beats because of like technology?
Well, for me, I do use some samples and loops sometimes now in the background, to add to whatever I come up initially with. But I just kind of go off of what I feel. I stay on top of what's going on, and what the youngsters like and what older people like, and I try to mix everything together. I'm like a gumbo.
That keeps you inspired, really, to keep creating,
Ah,
keep
man,
going.
what keeps me inspired is to be able to leave a legacy behind that's long lasting. And I want to write long lasting songs that people will remember when I'm gone. That's really what drives me, bro. And just the fun of playing, bro. I like to keep my kid element going on, man.
At this point, it's all play for you, baby.
I'm gonna keep going, bro. I want
Yeah.
a Grammy too.
Any new artists, yeah, especially from the Bay, really, that you would say that you like, that you listen to, like?
I mean, I like LaRussell. Really, I did a couple songs with him. I'm not sure what he's gonna do with them because he does so many songs. But I'm digging his. Okay, so with LaRussell, with me, he did some more like heartfelt, like Dear Mama type. Right now, he's into more of like the hyphy kind of Bay Area. So I like his intellect and I like his whole format. My artist, Aaliyah Sharif, to me, she's on the top of the food chain in terms of lyrical content and just. I mean, she never curses. She talks about unity. Has songs that have meaning. So. I don't really listen to a lot of rap artists in general. I listen to Kendrick Lamar. Uh, you know, I listen to the radio. A lot of times I just put on music and let me hear what's going on. You know what I mean? I don't. I'm really an old school kind of guy. I like older hip hop.
What was a session with Mac Dre like? How did, like, just how? Can
Okay,
you
so
explain the?
the persona that you get when you see him whenever,
Yeah.
that's the same thing when you're in the studio with him.
Along
You
those
don't
lines.
change for nothing. Bring the party with him. Yeah, and it's crazy because he's still going strong, and he'll be around for the next 20, 30, 40 years. I'm blessed to have been able to have my name attached with him. One thing about him is he always shouted out my name before, during the song or right
Yeah,
before it
made
came
the
on.
beat.
Told me, man, you're my favorite producer, Scotty, because you always coming up with something different, bro. He said, one song, one beat won't sound like the other one. I can't put my finger on your sound. I'm like, well, that's because I grew up playing salsa, jazz, funk, hip hop.
Any like unreleased or forgotten collabs that you're like super proud of?
Man, Cougnut passed away. I did an album with the Cougnut. It was gonna
Oh,
be Scandalous 2000.
No way.
Yeah. We
Wow.
had a whole album done and ready in the can, ready to go, and he passed away. And then somewhere along the lines, everything got all the music got lost. I think that his daughter may have control of it now, but I'm not really sure. But that's the one, man. I love Cougnut, bro. He was a straight soldier, bro, for real.
Yeah.
He was on his way going to go fishing. He loved to fish,
Hmm.
and he got in a car accident.
So that piece.
Yeah. Hopefully, he's doing what he should be doing in heaven.
Is there like a song or that maybe didn't get like as much recognition, or you would say it's kind of goes under the radar, even if it did get like the love? Like,
I
is there?
think damn near everything I've done.
Hey, not real soon.
For real though, man. I mean, there's a lot of songs that I've done that, well, Trey 57, Sibo, that was my favorite song that I did with him.
Yeah.
And because it was talking in the third person of the gun, so, but that wasn't really a commercial style song, so. And, a lot of stuff that I did with Keep the Sneak, I mean, High Tech could have went big, but that never really was released. I don't know if he had the correct push behind him for all that when he was doing his solo thing. But High Tech, that was one of the ones. Yeah. Oh, this cat, one of my best friends in the world, we call him the General G from West Oakland. He's the one that linked me and, well, actually, he didn't link Keek and I together. Keek linked me with him, and we did an album called Underdogs that came out in 2000, and that won compilation of the year. 'Cause we had Mac
Really?
Dre on there, we had Harm from the Rich was on there, we had Underdogs, UNDA.
How would you define your sound, the one drop sound? Is there a
Yeah,
short
my
way?
sound is rooted in clave. Clave is like the root of Latin, Afro Latin or African music. It's like
Rooted in cloud.
that's clave.
Word.
And if you think about it, da 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 da, hella funk, 'cause the beat goes with that groove right there.
Shoot.
That's like the root. So like the clave, when you first start playing like Afro Cuban music or even African music, you first have to play the clave and have it be able to play on time, in time, all the time. When I first started playing, they put me on the clave, right? And then with these rhythms that they play, if you start listening too hard to the drums as opposed to concentrating on your part, you'll mess up.
Oh God. Advice to the young producers.
Advice to youngsters for me: learn a little bit. You don't have to become a master musician or know everything about music, but if you learn one instrument, that can take you a long way in terms of adding other elements to your production. Before I got hurt, picked up the guitar and I became a good, really, not really good guitar player, but I was on my way. And once I got hurt, my left hand was all messed up, so I had to give that up for a while. I'm still trying to get it back, but yeah, for the youngsters, bro, people will tell you no more than they're gonna tell you yes. Main thing is to don't have a short memory on the nose and keep your mind focused on the yeses because it's gonna come at some point. Someone's gonna knock on your door. I'll give you an example. I was on tour with Confunction for a few years, and then I was on tour with Bill Summers and Summers Heat, and I realized, I'm a sideman in this, and they're getting X amount of dollars for every show. I'm getting a cool little, getting paid cool, but I'm not getting any royalties. So I'm a sideman, right? So for the youngsters, man, keep doing your thing. Don't become a sideman. Make sure that you have all your publishing, everything. Go to BMI or ASCAP. Make sure that you register. Make sure that when you do a song, that you go down and copyright the song with the state. So everything is covered. Just do your due diligence on your business side. Don't stop. That's the main thing. Cause I'll let you know, bro. I was gonna say, Tone Capone actually had moved into my home. I had a big giant place in Berkeley, and I was renting from my mother. My mother made a big duplex on our property, so she lived in the back and I lived in the front. And I had Tone Capone started renting a room from me. I gave him like the whole top floor. So he had like two rooms. So he had a studio up there, and I had a studio right next to his.
Oh
And people
man.
would walk right past my studio because that was back in the hip hop days when everybody was sampling more, right?
Mm.
But then once Dr. Dre came out and it was more musical, because Dr. Dre was basing his sound off of Funkadelic Parliament kind of sound, right?
Mm.
The whole funk thing, and
Right.
and that's what I came from, right? So eventually, people would hear my beats going on, and they would knocking on my door. Hey, what's that? What you doing there? Drop me. What is that?
Like
Right?
we
So
been on this, man. No.
yeah, exactly. Come on in. Let's do it. Then I would always like lace tones beats. He would like do his parts. Then I would come in and co-produce with him on his tracks and everything. But eventually, they would just start coming to me straight and man, let me get that beat right there. First of all, digital doesn't sound like 2 inch.
Mm.
2 inch is alive. It's magnified onto the tape. It stays alive. If you let the 2 inch sit around for too long, you have to bake it.
You have to what? I'm
You
sorry.
have to bake it to be able to play it again
Oh
because
snap.
it's magnified onto the tape, and after a while, it starts losing its magnification,
Oh.
and then transfer it right away because you can't really play it more than once.
Oh
But that shit
snap.
just is alive, bro. And another thing about playing live in the studio, okay? Back then it was like $120 minimum for studio time per hour. Before you walked into a studio, you had to have your everything together, right?
Mm.
All the players put in them 10,000 hours to become great enough to play in the studio. So everyone had that love involved in what they were doing. So like when you listen to older records, listen to love, bruh. The love in the songs is right there in front of you, right in your ears, bruh. Because now you can just grab a loop that someone else played, and how much love is that? It's not the same. We're talking about earlier with my first group. Those guys were all like 10 years older than myself. We had steel drums, but we were playing salsa music, right? And they decided one day, hey, we want to be a real salsa band. Steel drums aren't salsa. We're gonna get a piano player. So they booted me out the group. Me, myself, and my
Oh.
brother, right?
Yeah.
Dude, but they didn't realize at that time I had already met Sheila E. And I started dating Sheila E.
Oh.
Right, so I was with the Escovedo family a lot, hanging out, playing Roombas, learning how to really get down playing percussion. And it's those guys that wanted to be a real salsa band, I was like, man, okay, I'm about to really do my thing now.
Yeah.
You feel me? That lit a fire under my ass, bro. I mean, I came up so fast, bro. Sheila, she was playing with Confunction at the time, and then my boy Bill Summers, my main mentor, he got a hit record, and he realized, man, I have to go and do my own thing now. So Sheila took over for Bill with Herbie Hancock. She called me up and said, hey, you want to play with Confunction? I was like, Confunction? Who's that? Right? Because, they're hella big, right? They gold albums or whatever. But I was into jazz and salsa, so I didn't know who they were. But she was like, "Well, it's 500 a week plus per diem." I'm like, "I'm there." Right? Wanted to throw that in there for the youngsters. Like I said, when someone says no, just keep going, man. Whatever it takes for you to get motivated, whatever that is, use that. Cause mine was, I'm about to show y'all that y'all messed up. Cause you had a dope little young cat that was good looking. You feel me? Y'all could have nurtured me more and helped me grow. Bill Summers found me. Bill Summers found me just sitting in with a group called Kick, and he asked me, "Hey, do you play timbales?" I didn't play timbales at the time. I was mainly conga drums and whatever percussion. But I was like, yeah, I play timbales. Right. So I went over and got some lessons from one of my friends that Johnny Otis. He played timbales. Yeah, so Johnny taught me how to play the timbales, and I went and did the audition with Bill. Boom, got the gig. Yeah, same guys that booted me out South State of Berkeley. When I came back and decided to put my own group together, I actually I actually took over. And I didn't take over, but I became kind of like the musical director for this group called Freaky Executives.
Mm.
We won a Bammy. I don't know if you know, Bammy. The Bammys were a Bay Area Music Award
Ooh.
way back in the 90s and 80s. I took over that group, and well, I didn't take it over, but I kind of like started leading it. But my point is that I realized that they needed some horn players. So I went back and I hired and paid out of my pocket those same guys that fired me from Social University. And just because they were so good, I'm like, man, I'm about to get the best cats I know. So I hired them to play. They played like 3 gigs and realized we were so hot. We were selling out every nightclub in the Bay Area, bro. We had line around the corner,
Yeah,
bro.
I missed
I
that.
was
Saw that.
actually
Yeah.
in the Sheila E. Glamorous Life video. Yeah,
For
but you
sure.
know it was crazy. I was gonna go on tour with Sheila on the 1999 tour with Prince, right? Because she
Ooh.
was opening up, and but I had my own group at that time. We were selling out the Stone, Wolfgangs, every big giant nightclub in the Bay Area. Were selling that shit out, bro. And I was at Sheila's rehearsals getting ready for this tour while I still had my other group, Freaky Executives, and unbeknownst to myself, Prince was recording every rehearsal. So one day I was up in there talking the hell of shit, man. I'm like, man, Sheila, you know, I got this gig coming up at the Stone. You know, we sell out every time. You know, I need a break from all these rehearsals. I can't. I gotta get back and rehearse my group. You feel me? I guess Prince overheard that shit, and that was it for me.
Oh wow.
Whatever, it was cool because unfortunately we got signed to Warner Brothers. Who Prince was signed to Warner Brothers at the same
That's
time,
right.
so that kind of messed my group up, you know, because
Dang.
we got signed and then they didn't let me produce my own shit. They put us with the producer, which was
Ah.
like a Prince clone producer,
Oh.
made our whole sound totally different. So
Mm.
it messed the groove up, and it eventually faded out. But what was crazy is at the time I realized that the group was there was a window that was of opportunity that was closing, and I started just doing rap music, you know, just producing like little rap songs. And I produced a song called "Surf or Die," and we sent it out to Profile Records in New York City, and they sent me back a record deal the next week. So yeah, I took that record deal to my manager for the Freaks and said, bro, it's put up or shut up time because the group they're you know these guys are older. They need a record deal.
Right.
Manager, he was a big time manager, bro. David Robinson, I love him to this day, bro.
Hey.
He and his whole family, bro. And he came back within a week and had another record deal from Warner Brothers record. He didn't really
Oh.
want to. He didn't really want to sign us to them because he had to sign us to the R&B department, and my shit wasn't R&B. Signed us, and so the night that I signed with Warner Brothers, I was the first rap group to ever sign out the Bay Area to a major rap label, which was Profile. I signed as a producer, background singer, even though I was rapping on every song.
Huh.
I signed as producer and background singer for the Surf MCs, and I signed as an artist for Warner Brothers. Same
Mm.
night. Yeah.
Year. What year was this?
That shit was 86.
I came out of that deal. What do you?
Highlights with the whole Prince. I don't know if it was Prince personally, but Benny Medina signed us, and he didn't know what to do with us. So you know, at one point, you know, we was taking too long. I didn't like how the record was sounding, so I brought a live recording of our group, and played it for Benny. I said, bro, this is our sound right here, bro. I said either get George Clinton to help produce, or just let me produce my own shit, right? He was like, man, why don't you just do another group with that producer guy that he had put us with, right? Because I had played Benny some rap stuff that I was doing, and I had a song called House Party, bro. Now how come they had a movie come out called House Party
Right after,
right
huh?
after that
Yeah.
shit, bro? I told him, I said, nah, man. I grew up with my group. I've known them since I was a kid. We got to finish this album, and if you want to do something else, we can talk about that. But I got to finish this shit right here. Now the highlight of the Surf MCs is we did a song that was on a compilation called Christmas and Hollis. I did a song called Surf MC New Year, and that was on that album. And that's when I basically met Tone Capone because I needed someone to put some cuts on, scratching on the album.
Word.
And I called Tone. He was named DJ Tony G at the time, and so I called Tony G and to come and do some cuts, and that's how Tone and I started working
Got
together.
linked up.
I love my boy to this day, and we both taught each other a lot. I taught Tone how to tune his samples, have him in tune with his bass line, or I'll go over and play a bass line to the sample to make sure that it was in tune with the sample that he had. So I taught him a lot, and then he taught me a lot about how to make hip hop music. So
Dang.
it
Yeah.
was hand in hand. What it was that group Salsa de Berkeley when they put the group back together without me. So I became a great conguero. I started playing the rumbas and congas and I was just hanging out and I wanted to sit in. And that night, Armando Peraza, he's a very, very famous, he passed away, but he was like from Cuba, and he was sitting in with the group that night. And so when I got my chance to get up and play, and I played afterwards, he came over and sought me out, grabbed my hand, and squeezed my hand hella hard, bro. He was like, man, you got that fire, bro. You got that fire. That right
He
there,
meant that.
right? He meant that shit. And I was like, man, really? You got that fire, bro. He said, don't stop. And that shit inspired me, man. I want to give a big shout out to Cos Pacino, Cosmo Beats. He's like one of my proteges, to say. Yeah, I started out producing for him, but he wanted to be a producer himself, right? He's done big things, bro. He's worked with so many big time artists since hooking up with me, and I taught him a lot of things. I want to shout out Killer Tay, because Killer Tay is the guy that linked me up with Cosmo in the first place.
Okay.
Sibo. I want to shout out to all the executive producers back in the day that were putting up their money to make this shit happen, bro. They get overlooked just like the producers, bro. Sometimes we get overlooked, bro. But the executives, like D1A, Doogie, his name is Doogie right now. Doogie, the dog walker. But he had D1A records, and he paid for a lot of things. He helped me survive, bro. AWOL, dollars spent.
The producer not getting the credit that they deserve, man. Is there?
Yeah, you know what's crazy? They had the 50th year anniversary of hip hop.
Yeah.
How many producers did you see in
Oh,
that? How many
you're
did you
right.
see? Even the artists that were being honored. To me, it was their responsibility to make it known. Hey, we're all in the room together making this music with this producer.
Yeah.
You feel me? So I kind of feel bad that wasn't brought to the forefront. Maybe someone could go back and do a whole nother history of hip hop and whatever, and include everyone, not just the artists, but everyone involved, the executive producers, the producers, everybody, because everyone played a major role in making everything happen, man. If it weren't for those guys doing what they were doing to get that money, which wasn't always their lives on the line for some shit that they loved, bro. And they realized that they could make some money because at that time you could make money. Yeah, independent records. So yeah, give it up to all the executive producers out there, bro. Yeah, for
That's
sure.
right, bro. That's right.
Yeah.
Many times overlooked, along with the DJ as well. Give love to the DJ, you
You
dig?
love to yeah, no doubt.
Yes, sir.
You got to get me to that game, bro.
Or they can
I still
bring
have
five.
thousands of albums, bro. I'm trying to get back to the real playing. I see a lot of, I like it, but I'm not sure if I should say this or not. Man, take it off air. I'm gonna just tell you personally.
Okay. Thank you for coming out for this episode of the Wednesday Rec.
Yes,
One
sir.
Drop Scot.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you. Words you want to leave the audience with today before we cut out?
Oh man, just be grateful. I'm grateful. Everyone else, be grateful. Be good to each other. Spread that love. Because that's going to elevate your life and everyone else's life around you.
Listen back to that 2 times, bro. Thank you so much, One Drop Scot, man. One love.